Well, there's genuine change in some parts of the Middle East. I mean, Egypt is a clear case. I was concerned at the beginning of the Egyptian revolution as to whether we just saw a changing of the chairs and a maintenance of the same existing power structure, or whether something really different was happening. But after Mubarak fled Cairo, you saw mini revolutions occurring in every institution within Egypt, from Alexandria to Cairo. So that's a sort of change that's hard to undo. Now, what's happening in some other countries is a bit different. So the situation in Libya clearly has the involvement of state actors in it from many different areas. That's something that's been driven by state actors. Now, it is normal for neighbouring countries to have interconnections with each other. The activists in different countries, families in different countries, businesses in different countries, and the states from neighbouring countries. That's normal. When outside forces from very, very far-flung countries start to take an aggressive role in a regional affair, then we have to look a bit more and say that what's going on is not normal. So what's happening in Libya, for example, is not normal. Facebook in particular is the most appalling spying machine that has ever been invented. Here we have the world's most comprehensive database about people, their relationships, their names, their addresses, their locations, their communications with each other, their relatives, all sitting within the United States, all accessible to US intelligence. Facebook, Google, Yahoo, all these major US organizations have built-in interfaces for US intelligence. It's not a matter of serving a subpoena. They have an interface that they have developed for US intelligence to use. Now, is it the case that Facebook is actually run by US intelligence? No, it's not like that. It's simply that US intelligence is able to bring to bear legal and political pressure to them, and it's costly for them to hand out records and one by one, so they have automated the process. Everyone should understand that when they add their friends to Facebook, they are doing free work for United States intelligence agencies in building this database for them. I don't know if it's still been a haven for terrorists, but it is certainly a haven for oligarchs and former regime dictators that have come here. I mean, you remember the famous Pinochet trial for the extradition of Pinochet from the UK, which the Thatcher resisted, incredibly using a lawyer that is involved in trying to extradite me from the United Kingdom. Now, part of that is perhaps good. It's an example of true liberalism in the United Kingdom. Everyone come here, we'll protect you. On the other hand, there does seem to be a disconnect between, is it really supporting free speech activists like me who come to the UK, but on the other hand, it is supporting people like sons of Gaddafi. Well, there's a number of reasons why we've released it now. The primary one is that we are a small organisation, a very committed one, and last year we came under extraordinary attack. All these things continue to go on, and so they really dampen down our ability to move quickly and publish quickly. The timing is good. We see that Obama has given up on closing Guantanamo and has decided to reopen the trial process. And we now have a situation where even the Obama administration says that 48 of these people still in Guantanamo are completely innocent. Completely innocent. There's not enough information to prove that they're criminals, but they are completely innocent, and they should be sent somewhere, and they're not being sent somewhere. So completely innocent people incarcerated for years and years and years, no trial and no hope of relief. Well, no country will agree to house them, including the United States, but the United States has made them its problem. The United States was involved in rounding up these innocent people, setting up a process that was from the very beginning corrupt. There's a reason why they're in Guantanamo and not on the US mainland and not in an allied country. And that reason was to hide them and keep them outside of the law, just like you have Caribbean islands engaged in money laundering, the United States was engaged in people laundering. You know, they are a publishing organisation, so of course they want as much right for them to publish as possible. That's a natural self-interest. What they have done with this cable cooking, in this incredible redaction, over-redaction of cables, is they have pushed the right of the people to know at the very, very edge. And what they're concerned about is any possible attack on them. But we have seen this sort of abuse of the material that we have provided several times. And the Guardian is the worst offender, but we saw it also by the New York Times. The New York Times redacted a 62-page cable down to 2 paragraphs. And this is completely against the agreement that we originally set up with them on November the 1st last year. That agreement was that the only redactions that should take place are to protect people's lives. What happens in the West is that there is no border between state interest and commercial interest. The edges of the state, as a result of privatization, are fuzzed and blurred out into the edges of companies. And so when you look at how the Guardian behaves or how the New York Times behaves, it is part of that mesh of corporate and state interests, seamlessly blurring into each other. The Guardian's concerned predominantly about being criticised by these powerful interests, about lawsuits occurring against it, driven by oligarchs, driven by people powerful enough to push a court case forward. The problem is in 2 parts. The United States is trying to get up an extradition case for me to the United States. Just today we see a new subpoena coming out of the secret grand jury that is operating in Alexandria, Virginia. It is trying to get up this espionage case against us. It is building that case, and in whatever country I am in, once it decides to indict, they will try to extradite me from that country. And possibly not just me, possibly our other staff. The other problem with the Swedish extradition is that the process itself has been corrupted. So it was corrupted from the very beginning. Within 12 hours of these original charges being filed, they were reviewed by a senior prosecutor in Sweden and dropped as not the allegations dropped as not representing any kind of crime. And a Swedish politician by the name of Claes Borgström then picked them up and went to a different prosecutor all the way out from Stockholm and Gothenburg and pushed it back up again. And we've seen corruption in the Swedish media, we've seen all sorts of strange actions in relation to how this case has progressed. Well, it depends on to which country. So here's the sort of calculation that's going on in the United Kingdom. The United Kingdom wants to keep, at the various levels, wants to keep its good relationship with the United States. So if the UK was to reject the US extradition order, that would pose terrible problems for it. Similarly, if it was to reject the Swedish extradition order, that would pose problems for it, because it would look like it was seeking to harbour me. And this is the sort of difficult situation that Afghanistan faced, where it appeared that it was harbouring bin Laden, and as a result there was an aggressive response. So any country which appears to be harbouring us, as the United States is trying to conduct its aggressive response, faces political pressures. Our number one enemy is ignorance, and I believe that is the number one enemy of everyone, is not understanding what is actually going on in the world. It's only when you start to understand that you can make effective decisions and effective plans. Now, the question is, who is promoting ignorance? Well, those organisations that try to keep things secret, and those organisations which distort true information to make it false or misrepresentative. In this latter category, it is bad media. It really is my opinion that the media in general are so bad, we would have to question whether the world wouldn't be better off without them altogether. There's some very, very fine journalists, and we work with many of them, and some fine media organisations, but the vast majority are awful and are so distortive to how the world actually is, that the result is we see wars and we see corrupt governments continue on. One of the hopeful things that I've discovered is that nearly every war that has started in the past 50 years has been a result of media lies. The media could have stopped it if they had searched deep enough, if they hadn't reprinted government propaganda, they could have stopped it. But what does that mean? Well, that means basically populations don't like wars. And populations have to be fooled into wars. Populations don't willingly and with open eyes go into a war. So if we have a good media environment, then we'll also have a peaceful environment.